The title of my story is the plastic pollution problem, and I'd like to start off by telling a story of when I realized there was a problem in our ocean with pollution. I was fishing on a bright, beautiful, slightly windy day with my father and my grandfather when each of us pulled up a plastic bag each, and one of them was filled with bottles and all sorts of different trash. And I looked out into the ocean and realized that the boat next to us was flicking cigarette butts into the water. And that's when I realized there was a real problem with pollution in our economy. As an avid fisher, I've been fishing for about 10 years. I've learned a lot from my grandfather and father about what nature should look like through different seasons and how everything just sort of works all together and the mechanics of it. Along with this, I've done a lot of research and looked up statistics on pollution in our waterways. However, pollution has been on the rise in the last few years and it creeps up over time. It affects not only wildlife but also human life. And along with this, only a certain amount of people with their voices to be heard, such as actors, the president, or whoever, have only done a certain amount to help out. Um, in my speech, I'll be talking about how pollution is one of the deadliest toxins, how it affects animals and humans, and how only certain people have done things to help out certain um, famous people. Such plastic pollution, like things here, plastic bottle and wrappers, take 500 to 1,000 years to break down. And when they do break down, they turn to microplastics, which actually don't leave the ecosystem. Certain fish eat these microplastics, and it causes a lot of damage to them. But certain companies like Coca-Cola, in their just simple soda bottle, is one of the top bottles found in the ocean. In a little quote by Hannah Ritchie and Max Verzer, dated 2018, and the title of it is Plastic Pollution with Help of Our World and Data. They say that the GPGP comprised 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic with a mass of 79,000 tons, approximately 29% of 269,000 tons of pollution surface pollution. Over recent decades, the authors report there has been an exponential increase in concentration of surface plastic in the GPGP. Scientists here are saying that pollution isn't going to decrease over time and it's only going to increase, and that's something that can't happen. It's not only everyday citizens, but it's also a lot of fishermen. Fishermen make up a little bit less than half of pollution in our oceans, and this is because they go out every single day with their lines, nets, food, and trash, all sorts of different things, and some of it's left behind, even though they don't mean to. For myself and my family, when we go out fishing, we like to bring everything back. We like to make sure we bring everything back, every piece of trash, no matter what it is. But there are times when our lines get stuck at the bottom of the ocean and we're gonna have to cut them. It's something that we hate, but we're gonna have to live with it. Um, but fish will, be harmed by what's going on. The plastics that the fish eat, they'll be stuck in them until they die and trapped in their stomachs, and then eventually the chemicals will seep into them, into their meat, eventually making them die. If these fishermen sell fish meat to companies and these companies would distribute it, that means humans will eventually eat plastics over time, especially with the amount of pollution rising. In the second quote here I have by Gallo Frederick, dated on April 18th, 2018, called Marine Litter Plastics and Microplastics and Their Toxic Chemical Components, the Need for Urgent Preventive Measures, with the organization Help of Environmental Sciences Europe. He says, although there is still a need to carry out focused scientific research to fill the knowledge gaps about the impacts of plastic litter in the marine environment, the food chain and human health existing scientific evidence and concerns are already sufficient to support the actions by the scientific industry, policy, civil society, communities to curb the ongoing flow of plastics and toxic chemicals they contain into the marine environment. As this keeps going on, what Gallo is saying here is that people will eventually eat these plastics that are trapped in fish. Um, that's a short summarization of what he's saying and what the other authors are contributing, but these chances will become higher and higher over time. Only certain people have used their voice, such as actors like Leonardo DiCaprio. He vouches for climate change and pollution control. And even our president has used his voice in certain acts to help out. He produced the Save Our Seas Act, which Andrew Tolokin writes in an article dated on October 12, 2018, titled Trump Signs Ocean Plastics Pollution Law with the Organization of Plastic News. And he says, the law was praised by both the Plastic Industry Association and the American Chemistry Council, saying that it would help current recycling and waste management. Our president's using his voice and his power to make a change in our oceans, because it's not only in the United States, but it's also China, Vietnam, and the Philippines that are leading pollution contributors. I'd like to review what I talked about. I talked about how plastic is one of the deadliest toxins in our ocean, how it affects not only animals, but humans, and how people with power and say have not done anything to help out that much. However, ocean pollution has been on the rise and will keep being on the rise unless people help out over time, and it will eventually affect more marine life and more people. And without this, ocean pollution is going to wreck our ecosystems and everything around it. Thank you. And the person I had listen to my speech was my sister.
Hi,
Deanna.
I'm Deanna.
All right, thank you.